Before we start, at the behest of one of my students, which is a good suggestion, we want to attach ourselves to the tzaddikim of the generation and to the tzaddikim who interred in the earth, and to the tzaddik Yesod Olam, Rav Nachman ben Vega, to draw down the light of his Torah. We discussed in Likutey Moharan, Torah Kaf, Torah 20, that there is one soul in every generation who is suffering tremendously. And this suffering soul, why is this soul suffering? Only so as to clear a path to draw down very deep Torah insights. Who is this soul called in the Torah? Miriam. I alluded to the fact that Miriam is coming from the word Mar-Yam. Mar is bitter, which means suffering, right? And Yam is 50, which is alluding to the Torah. So she reveals the Torah through her suffering. And then Moshe is able to draw down the Torah for us. Now when she passes away, we're unable to get that Torah. So who's able to get it? The sage. The sage is able to draw it down. How is he able to draw it down? Through two means. Through his staff, which are his mitzvot, his good deeds, right? Masim tovim. And through his chibur, his connection with his students. So by connecting himself to his students in prayer prior to giving the lesson, right? And trying to attach himself to all of their souls, to give them each exactly what they need to do tshuva from love. So as a result of this, they are able to draw down from what's called the supernal heart. This supernal heart is the rock that's referred to when Moshe struck the rock. This rock was actually a spiritual entity from which all Torah is derived from. And originally he was capable of striking it, and Hashem ultimately asked him to speak to it, because he said this would be a greater...
So those are the two ways, the hitting and the speaking.
The hitting and
this
is the hitting and the speaking. So we see the speaking has to do with prayer, and the hitting has to do with forcing the issue. There are times, even spiritually, that we trying to force the issue, and the Gemara in Rav Nachman says you should never, ever force anything. An example. You have an opportunity, or let's say you want to go to Eretz Yisrael very badly. This is going to come up later in the Torah. You want to go. Your circumstances are not allowing you to go at all. You could sit there and say to Hashem, based on everything that I've done, right? Please help me out. Based on my merits, meaning I've tried my hardest for the past few years. I desperately want to go. Make it that I go now. Rav Nachman says not to do this. Rav Nachman says that you should patiently do hibodedut every single day and pray on this every single day until he answers you. Now to do this takes a great degree of faith and also takes a great degree of patience. But you need both of these things to be close to Hashem. And actually Eretz Yisrael corresponds to these two qualities of patience and faith. We're going to talk about that later, okay? Now, but how should the tzaddik be praying for these things? He should not be saying, I am trying harder than anybody else to come close to you through my merits, right? That's his staff. Shouldn't be using that. He should be entreating as a free gift. Actually, our Torah portion this week is this exact concept, V'et Chanan. What does this mean? So Rashi says there that this term is only used when it talks about tefillah in the form of a poor person asking for a free gift. This is V'et Chanan. Moshe was asking not based on everything he had done for us and for Hashem, but as a completely free gift, asking to go into the land of Israel, and that's why it says V'et Chanan. So we learn from here that this is how we are supposed to pray as well. From this we learn that one should never force an issue, even in his prayers, right? You shouldn't say, Hashem, you must do this for me. You must do this for me. You have to do this for me. You have to trust Hashem. You have to give the best you have. It doesn't mean that you don't pray intensely. You should be praying with everything that you have. However, you should not be forcing the issue. No, that's what Hashem wants. Hashem wants you to build your will slowly over time, according to your level. No, so that's false. That's not true. If Sarah had the same perspective as you, we would not exist. She waited 90 years to have a kid. Abraham waited 100. All right, so real child. That's good. I don't know if he sees this. Okay.
Also, Vaitchanan is Gematria 515.
Yes. Because it's corresponding to the 515 times that he prayed. Now, why did he pray 515 times? He should have stopped after 10, 20. He's not forcing the issue. He is 515. Why did he ultimately stop? Only because Hashem told him to. Okay. So now, why is this so important? Why is it so important to merit this deep Torah? So you're going to learn something amazing now. By drawing this Torah, and again, how did the tzaddik, how did the sage draw this Torah? Not through his own deeds, by connecting himself to the klal, to the Jewish people, to the souls of the Jewish people. Yes.
So spreading.
By doing that, that's how I draw. And what's the benefit of this Torah? Zochin la'eretz Yisrael. This is what brings you to the land of Israel. You hear? What would you think brings you to the land of Israel? I go and get a job. That job gives me enough money, and I get up and I pack up my bags and I leave. And the Torah says that it's not going to keep you in the land of Israel. The only thing that allows a person to merit to live in the land is something called Torah. What are these two concepts referring to on a deeper level? Torah is truth, and Eretz Yisrael is faith. So therefore, only through genuine truth can a person merit to real faith. Because what happens if you are constantly trying to build your faith based on false pretense? Something that's not true, it's not emet. So then you're not going to have real faith. And let's say you have truth, right? But you don't build your faith. So, same thing the other way. So you need both. They go together. So just like the Torah brings revelations and brings you to the land of Israel, you're going to see that the land of Israel, why it's so important. We haven't spoken about this yet, but Rav Nachman was very, very makpid that every single Jew should be desiring greatly and praying every day to be living in the land of Israel and trying as hard as he can to do so. This should be his goal. Now this Torah brings you to the land, but the land also brings you Torah. It's vice versa. They are reciprocal entities, okay? Like it says in Tehillim, he gave them the land to the nations. But when did he do this? Right? When did he give them the land of the Goyim? So first it says he split open the rock and the water flowed out, and this is Torah. And then after that, right after that, it says that he gave them the land of the nations, meaning the 7 nations who were living there. So you see that what preceded them living in the land of Israel, it was Torah. And you see that they first got the Torah before they went in Israel. In fact, Hashem's initial plan before the Chet Egel was to actually bring them into Eretz Yisrael immediately after they received the Torah. This was the original plan. But the land of Israel, says the Gemara, and Rav Nachman's bringing it here, it's one of the 3 things that you can only get through suffering. So what was the other thing? Torah. And the last thing is Olam Haba. Olam Haba, Eretz Yisrael, Torah, these things can only be gotten by suffering. And what is the essence of suffering? So you would think it would be health, lack of money, things of this nature. Rav Nachman says the greatest suffering a person can experience is that of other people. That of other people. Meaning, the guy who says to you, oh, you want to move to Israel? You know it's really hard to make money over there. You're not going to make it over there. You know how many people go there and come back? Come on, what are you doing? Rav Nachman says this is the ultimate evil. This is worse than Satan, he says. He says that people are greater obstacles and can deter a person more to come close to Hashem than Satan himself. People. How many people have told you, Amunah, you're going to live a life of Amunah? That makes sense. You're going to live your whole life like that? That's crazy. All of them. So this type of talk, right, about Amunah, about land of Israel, living a life based on these two principles and trying to live there. So all of these, anybody who gets in the way, you should understand, these are my obstacles. These are not advice for me. This is not eitzah for me. To take this and to think about this. Your goal should be, just like I want to be living and breathing, just like I want to get married, just like I want to be able to raise and support my family, I want to live in the land of Israel, and I want to live a life of Amunah. These are Jewish principles. Tzaddikim are always trying to draw people new Torah revelations, and people who are stopping you from visiting tzaddikim, right? So they are mamish like klipot. They're getting in the way of you being able to draw down these Torahs. And in fact, what's interesting, Shabbat and the tzaddik are one concept. In the Zohar, they say that one of the names of the tzaddik, the true tzaddik, is Shabbat. Because everything that Shabbat brings you, rest, peace of mind, high connection to God, Amunah, all of these things coming from a true tzaddik. So when people try and tell you, don't go to Uman for Rosh Hashanah to be by the tzaddik, it's a waste of time and a waste of money. So this is like a person deterring you from true faith, from real Amunah. You need to know that these are obstacles Hashem places before you, because these obstacles are called your suffering. You understand? They are the suffering which we need to go through in order to receive Torah, Eretz Yisrael, Ol Mabak.
What tikkun, like paralyzation?
One second. The main suffering are these people, Rav Nachman says. Motzi'ei dibat ha'aretz, that they gave a bad report about the land, the spies. That's exactly them. This is our situation. וצריך להכניע מתחילה אלו רשעים ולאנס אותם בחרבה וקטלה. The first thing that has to be done is that these people need to be subdued.
Which people? The people telling you?
The people who are telling you, the spies, in every situation, and to punish them with the sword and with death. Wow, this is very intense. Speech, yes. By doing this, it is afterwards possible to go to the land of Israel, meaning, because they are the suffering that needs to be endured before a person can end up there, so they are an obstacle that needs to be overcome before you can get there. So you have to always overcome these obstacles to get to the land of Israel, which I told you again is always corresponding to complete Amunah, which we're all trying to acquire. Yet, it's impossible to acquire the power to punish the wicked except when this is received from what's called Edom. You know Edom? It was a land, the land of Edom. Okay? This was a land that Hashem actually gave to Esav and to his 11 children, descendants. 11, which is always corresponding to the Klipot. 10 is always Kedusha, and 11 is always corresponding to the Klipot. That's why we have 11 in the Ketoret. So even though Hashem gave Edom, which means red, which is corresponding to judgments, right? He gave them to Esav. Still, they're ultimately supposed to be destined for the Jewish people. Now, what do we need this for? So, he was given a bracha. What was the bracha that Esav was given? Ba'al harbecha tichiyeh. Through your sword, you're going to live. V'hu yonek b'mazal me'adim. Why? Because they draw from the mazal of Mars, which is bloody red.
What? Say it again?
Mars.
Esav. So there's different constellations that are spoken about in Sefer Yetzirah, in the Torah. And each of those, there's called 7 planets. It doesn't mean that the Torah thinks that there's only 7 planets. It means that there's 7 primary mazalot, right? One of these mazals is called Mars, and it's red. And this is the mazal of Monday, which is why we have to do, which was today, which is why we have to do Tachnun, and we have to take the Torah out because this is a day of Din. Why is it a day of Din? Because the original Monday of creation, the waters were split. Meaning this was the beginning of division. There's no such thing as separation until the second day. So this is where judgments come in. And Esav gets all of his energy from separation. The concept of separation. That's Mars. And this is red. This is where Din and Gevurah come in. I've never seen Benjamin so interested in Latin. Only when we speak about Mazalot. Mazalot. Okay. But the truth is that place, which is the source of the dinim that Esav has, which is called Mars, this is really the supernal heart. The bloody red planet is also inside of your chest. Okay? And this is where we derive Torah. So therefore, the place where Esav gets his strength from, that's also the place where we get Torah revelations from. So therefore, we need that sword of Kedusha. V'dai, and you should know. She'ayadei kohot aruchaniot hanivra'im me'otiyot haTorah shechidesh. The spiritual forces which are created from the letters of the Torah originated by these sages, Elohein hey malachim mamish. These are literal angels that you create with your mouth. So every single time that you learn Torah from a sage, that Torah that you're learning is mamish creating malachim. And these malachim protect you, and they also destroy sitra achra like materials. Okay? They are bona fide angels. And where do they receive their power from? They get it from Edom. Because the only way that you can punish the wicked is to draw from this place of Edom. And what draws from this place of Edom? It's these malachim. And you get this when you get true Torah teachings from a true sage. And they are created in the concept of Adonai Yiten Adonai Yiten Omer, Hambasro Tzavarav. It's in Tehillim, it says, Hashem gives the word, the heralds are a mighty host, meaning the word is Torah, the Torah teaching, and then the heralds are a mighty host, meaning the malachim are created from this. So where do malachim come from? You think they come from Hashem? They really come from the tzaddik or the sages' Torah teachings. They create malachim in the world. And they punish the wicked. Like it says, Ki malacha b'tzavelach, like we say every single Saturday night, right? That his angels, on your behalf, he will charge. Upon the lion and the viper, you will tread. Meaning these are these malachim that are protecting you. Now where are these malachim coming from? Revelations of Torah.
So when Hashem created the world, he quote unquote asked the malachim for guidance. Was he really just asking quote unquote Mashiach to teach Torah that created the angels? And then...
So we have to wait for the questions for the end of the class. The Elo Kochot Aruchoniut. And these spiritual forces, these malachim, what are they commensurate with? Meaning, like, how do I increase the quality of these malachim? Right? If I want to go to CVS, I can get something, or I can go to Walmart, or I can go to a higher end store like Trader Joe's, yeah? I don't know what's better than that. But let's say we have Wegmans where I grew up,
Whole Foods.
Costco.
Whole Foods. Whole Foods.
Okay, Whole Foods, and you can plug in whatever stores that you guys work for. But we're saying here that what is it commensurate with? How do I get the best possible malachim who are protecting me and who are destroying the negativity around me? And that is corresponding to the machadishing of the Torah. Meaning through the renewal of Torah, through this you get higher quality angels. How do I renew the Torah more? How do I machadish greater levels of Torah? Right? Lafia kedusha shenis tofef. Sorry, sheniso. I can't say this. Shenitosef lamala. How do you do this? The greater the kedusha, the greater is your ability to machadish Torah. The greater are the malachim. You hear the steps? The more kedusha that you have created through the mitzvot that you do, and through the mitzvot that you refrain from, so through these you create the ability to machadish new Torah. It's not based on your wisdom. It's not based on your brain or your intellect. It's based on your kedusha. And the main ikar of kedusha is in the brit. So the higher level that you are in Shmir to Brit, the higher level you're going to be able to machadish new Torah. And to that degree, you're going to be able to have better quality malachim which are surrounding you. This is kaf, and then you go to 8, chet. Ket. But in our context, what does it mean for arts in general? It means that actually, how do we get more kedusha? So we said with more people. The more Jewish people you have in any situation, the more kedusha there is. Therefore, the more people that come to the class, the more the sage is able to machadish new Torah. Because there's a higher level of Kedusha. This is what I'm not saying. So this is one of the big reasons why he said that everybody should come to me for Rosh Hashanah. Because the more people that come, the more Kedusha that is, the more he was able to Machadesh new Torah, and he actually said this Torah on Rosh Hashanah. And as a result of that, the more he's able to create Malachim that protect you for the whole year. But the reverse is also true. In other words, let's say the Kedusha is low. So what happens? So as a result of that, your Torah insights are weak, or the person who's teaching you his Torah insights are weak, and they lack the ability to receive the power that they need to punish the wicked with the sword. They only have the strength to subdue them and bring fear into their hearts, but not to punish them completely. And therefore, why is this a big deal? Because we said in order to get to Eretz Yisrael, which is complete Emunah, you first have to nullify all negativity around you, which we're learning now you only do with the Malachim, which you can only get through the Machadeshing of Torah, which you can only get if there's a high level of Kedusha.
That's why Yaakov could only come to Esau with all his children?
Yes, that's why he needed Yosef, because Yosef is the Brit. And because he had Yosef, meaning he had Shmirat the Brit, so now he can combat Esau. Because the Brit is the sword of Kedusha. And as long as a person is not Shmirat the Brit, so then he has these forces of Edom which are negative, which go against you, they are now turned on you, instead of you're using them in order to destroy the negativity around you. So you have a complete opposite thing. It's not like when you're Shmirat the Brit, you're just protected. The actual source of din is used now in your favor to destroy negativity around you in your life, to remove it from your life. And there are times when even just subduing them is not within the power of the Malachim. Let's say you mamish, you have no Kedusha whatsoever. Or you're with a group of people, you're with a small group of people, and your teacher's not really so chashuv, so you don't have so much Kedusha that's riding. So what do they have the power to do? They only have the power to stir the nations against these people who give a bad report about the land. Meaning, they're going to get like tickets and stuff from cops, and they're going to have to go into court. Things like this. Meaning, what were we saying prior? If you have very, very strong malachim, you're able to actually mamish destroy the negativity. But let's say it's less, you don't have as much, so you're able to subdue them, so they're not affecting you as much. And let's say you have less than that, then this is the reason why we're taken to non-Jewish courts. Because you have a lack of strong malachim which are surrounding you, destroying the negativity, and then you end up in Gentile courts, Rav Nachman says. Why? Because he says, the Rasha machtir et tzaddik, the wicked, he besets the tzaddik, therefore the judgment goes out crooked. Meaning what? Because the wicked man is always surrounding the tzaddik, meaning that aspect of you which is the tzaddik, so we on our own do not have the power to repel him except through the Gentile courts, to have him judged according to their laws and receive from the power to oppress the wicked. So this is the reason sometimes that very righteous people have to go to non-Jewish courts. It's actually to draw the Kedusha that has fell to these Gentile courts, and he needs to lift it up from the courts. And he goes on to say that this is why sometimes you even have to bribe the judge, because it's a Gentile court. So by nature, Rav Nachman says that this is, what's it called? Their judgment is always going to come out crooked. So therefore, sometimes you need to push the envelope a little bit.
I'm glad I'm recording this.
Yeah, that's good. And then the tzaddik is able to take it out from between the crookedness. Okay. There are times, though, when they don't even have this power. They haven't the power to punish the wicked. They don't have the power to subdue them, or even to go to court, so to speak. So what can they do? The only power they have is to silence them, so they can't speak evil in front of us. This is so the word should not be heard by the common people, meaning you don't want normal Stam Jews who are not learning all the time and not, right? You don't want them hearing, why are you going to Eretz Yisrael, why are you trying to go to the land, X, Y, and Z, because they're going to be turned off in 1 second. They have nothing to protect them. And occasionally they don't even have this power. And everything depends on the level of Kedusha. Okay? So we're all on the same page right now? Now we're going to go back to this pasuk. And this was from a Torah portion from a few weeks ago. Then Moshe sent his malachim to the king of Edom, which they translate literally as a shliach. You're sending somebody. Okay? I'm just reading to you the passage and then we're going to go through it, how the whole thing is really related to our Torah. This is what your brother Israel declares. You know that all the troubles that we have encountered. Our fathers descended to Egypt. The Egyptians, they mistreated us. When we cried out to Hashem, He heard our voice and He sent a malach who took us out from Egypt. We are now in Kadesh, a city at the edge of your territories. Please let us pass through your land. We will not go through any of the fields or the vineyards and will not drink any water from your wells. We will travel along the King's Highway. Amon, aha. What?
Brooklyn, King's Highway?
King's Highway. You ever heard of it?
Brooklyn,
Yeah? Okay.
Brooklyn.
Edom's response. This is, by the way, this is very bizarre. I remember reading this in the Torah portion. And out of nowhere, there's a conversation between Yisrael and Edom. Just bringing it up to you guys. I think it's very interesting. It really has to do with the mazalot of the Jewish people and Esau. Edom's response was, do not pass through my land or I will greet you with the sword. Why? Because what do we say? Edom's whole thing is the sword. Don't come here because we are going to give you the sword. The Jewish people said to them, we will keep to the beaten path, and if we drink any of your water, it says, I'll pay the full price. No concern. Only with my foot I'll pass through. And Edom said back, do not come through here. Okay, so now we're going to see how this relates to the whole Torah that we learned so far. Yishlach Moshe Malachim El Malach Edom. Moshe sent these Malachim to the king of Edom. So now we're learning that based on this Torah, what were these Malachim? They were real Malachim. Moshe sent real Malachim to Edom. And how did he create these Malachim? This is what your brother declares, Israel. Meaning, in other words, these Malachim come into existence from the pure statements of the Jewish people. Like we said, where are the Malachim coming from?
Torah.
The tzaddik is getting Torah by connecting his soul to the souls of the Jewish people. So that's why it's saying, this is what your brother Israel declares. Meaning, when we have pure speech, pure statements, so as a result of this creates Malachim, this creates angels. You know all the troubles that we have encountered. Our fathers went down to Egypt. So what Rav Nachman says, you know specifically. Why? This is because all punishments come through Edom. Anytime that a Jew needs to suffer,
So the highest revelation is quote unquote in Egypt.
yes, and therefore Hashem wants to bring you to the land of Israel. So therefore, before you can get the land of Israel, like Ben Yamin's saying, you have to go through the greatest suffering, and that's always Edom. And he's got the sword for you. And therefore, what do you need to be sure of? That you are not Pogam Brit.
Yikes.
This is because all punishments are through Edom, particularly the Egyptian exile. The Rizal says something amazing. Who are these Jews that were sent down into Egypt? It just looks like they happen to be of the 70 children of Yaakov, and they had kids, The Rizal says no. When Adam Rishon was separated from Chava for 130 years, the Gemara says he was having nocturnal emissions. And these nocturnal emissions, like we learned before, they are souls. So how do these souls reach Tikkun? So if Nachman teaches, based on the Arizal, that these souls were actually brought down to Egypt, and these were the souls of Bnei Yisrael in exile. And the whole reason they were in exile was to rectify the wasted seed of Adam.
That's great.
And they say that those souls are the same souls that come back at the end. The ones who didn't make it, in the 40 years in the desert.
The 4/5 of the nation that stayed or died out.
Right. Getting the answer now. Okay. So therefore, why did we go down there? To fix the Brit. The whole reason we went down to Egypt was to fix the Brit. And that's why Edom is given the greatest power there. It resulted from a blemishing of the Brit. And this brings the sword, like it says in Vayikra, a vengeful sword to avenge my Brit. So you see in a pasuk in the Torah, it literally says that when does the sword come? To avenge my Brit. And we know what is the Brit, according to Kabbalah? It's the wasting of seed. And Edom is appointed over the sword. I told you guys this before. Why do we have two concepts of Mashiach? Why do we have Mashiach ben Yosef? Why do we have Mashiach ben David?
One has a perfected breed as opposed to the other one.
So Mashiach ben Yosef was actually a plan B. There was only ever supposed to be Mashiach ben David. Adam Rishon was supposed to come. He was supposed to follow whatever Hashem told him to, and immediately Adam would have become Mashiach. But because he wasted seed, so now as a result of that, before we can get back to the level where we can even bring Mashiach ben David, we first need to rectify the error of Adam in the wasting of seed. And who does that? It's the master of the Brit, that's Yosef. So now as a result of that, we now need to first rectify the Brit, which is the Jews in Egypt, before we can receive the Torah and go to Eretz Yisrael. So now one always has to come before the other. And this is not just globally and collectively or historically, this is also individually. When do you have your salvation? When do you have your Geula? Before you can get to the land of Israel, which is Mashiach ben David, you first need to go through Edom with a pure Brit. One always has to come before the other. And this is what it says when the Egyptians mistreated us. And then what did we do? We cried out to Hashem. He heard our voice and he sent a malach who took us out from Egypt. Because what happens when Jewish people, they're wasting seed, so their prayers aren't heard. And they don't have the speech to be able to get answered. So what is their only way out? What is their only way out of their suffering? Is by crying out to Hashem. And what happens when the Jews cry out to Hashem? As a result of this crying out, Moshe was sent. So we're going to see what's the connection. Moshe was the one who took us out. When he said who, he sent an angel who took us out from Egypt. So Rashi says, who's this malach? It was Moshe. Why is he called a malach? To teach you that prophets are like malachim, they're like angels. Moshe took us out. Why? Because the blemishing of the Brit is a blemishing of Da'at. We said something amazing. We said that the truth is the quality of a Jew's Da'at is completely corresponding to his purity of his Brit. This is why Yosef was called wise and understanding. This was why he was a genius. Because he was the master of the Brit. So as a result of our blemishing of the Brit, so what gets blemished? Da'at. And who is the concept of perfected Da'at? Moshe. So Moshe was sent to save us from our pogrom of Brit. He's also born with a Brit. So you see, he's that concept. And this is what it means in Adam knew. What is new? That Adam knew Chava, it means he was having relations with her. So you see, Rav Nachman says, knowledge has to do with seed. So when a person is holding by, oh, he likes it, Moshe likes it, he hopped it.
Did you say seed? Seeds of knowledge?
Seed's a big issue. And what does the voice do? So the Gemara says that the voice arouses kavanah, which Rav Nachman is reading, meaning when you pray and you're saying it so you can hear it, this arouses your kavanah, so you're able to focus. Just say when tefillah. Rav Nachman says, look deeper, because what it's really saying is that voice, it arouses the mind, meaning that this concept of the voice is what takes you out of your exile of the Brit and brings you to Da'at. It arouses Kavanah, meaning it arouses the mind. So what was the voice? It was their crying out to Hashem. So while they're pogrom of Brit, they're crying out to Hashem, and this voice is what arouses Da'at, which is Moshe, to take them out. That's when we cried out to Hashem, he heard our voice, meaning that the voice arouses Da'at, and he sent this malach who was Moshe. And through the revelation of Da'at, he took us out. This is why Rav Nachman says, why do we recite the Haggadah? Okay? Why do we recite the Haggadah in a loud voice?
So we could fix our plug in the bridge.
For the redemption came about through the voice. Like it said, he heard our voice, and this is the reason it's called Haggadah. Like it said, V'yaged lechem et brito. V'yaged, you told him about your Brit. So you see the concept of speaking, but in this lashon of Yaged, he told, is always the concept of Brit. So why is it called Haggadah? You have to say the whole Pesach Seder in a loud voice, Because this is what saves you from Pogam Brit, because the voice arouses intellect. This is also the reason why we are having the main mitzvah's wine. Because the sages teach that when you have it in measured quantity, it arouses da'at. So you have two things here which are supposed to be rectifying the Brit in the mind. You have the loud voice which is saying over the Pesach story, that is fixing the Brit. And then you have the wine which is then arousing the da'at to come out.
Jose hasn't fixed it yet. Why hasn't he fixed it?
Why hasn't he fixed it yet, or what if he hasn't? You're saying why hasn't a person fixed it yet?
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort. But this is the idea of Pesach, and this is what we're supposed to be trying to draw down at that time. Like it says, wine and fragrances, they make clever. Like it says, Tirosh, if he is worthy, he becomes Rosh, foremost, the head. But it says that if a person is not worthy, he becomes Rash, poor. Right? What's the difference here? When a person drinks wine in a measured way, not like a glutton, so he has a rosh, meaning he has a higher intellect, expanded consciousness, most the godly. But when he does more than that, so then he becomes rash.
Meaning excess.
Yeah, excess, meaning he becomes impoverished. His mind becomes impoverished by this. Please let us pass through your land. So what is this? They wanted to travel to the land of Israel by way of Edom. Why would they want to go through Edom? Why would they want to go through Edom? Anybody know? To fix it. Because the only way to get to Eretz Yisrael is through Edom. So in truth, you can get there in other ways, but this is the fastest way to get there. The fastest way to get to Eretz Yisrael would have been through Edom, physically. So what does that mean for us? What's the fastest way to get to Eretz Yisrael? By fixing the Brit. Rav Nachman says you have a lot of issues, you have a lot of difficulties. The first thing you should work on is fixing the Brit, because by doing this, everything else is going to become easier. So this is the concept of, it's the quickest to get you to the land, which is complete Amunah. That is, they wanted to go on the King's Highway. What's the King's Highway? Meaning the King of the world, Hashem. Not for the sake of worldly pleasures, they wanted to do it in order to come close to Hashem. That is, we were not going to go through any of the fields or the vineyards, meaning we don't want to go through Edom to get to Eretz Yisrael in order so we can drink and party. We're going so that we can come as close to Hashem as possible in the land of Israel. That's what it means. We're going to travel along the King's Highway. And what was Edom's response? Do not pass through my land, or I will greet you with the sword. Why? Because they did not have a high level of Kedusha. That's why it says we are now in Kadesh, which is a city of the edge of your territories. And what is the word Kadesh? It comes from the word Kedusha. It was alluding to their low level of Kedusha. That's why they were in the city of Kadesh on the border. What was his response? Do not pass through mine. Meaning, for someone who is on an inferior level, he should not provoke the wicked. We said before that a person who is not holding by a high level of Kedusha, not at a high level of the Brit, so we should not be encountering, trying to actively encounter and defeating negativity. Right? You shouldn't be going up to people and trying to convince people who are non-believers or whatever. People are trying to get in the way of you coming to Amunah or go to the land of Israel, all these things. You shouldn't be trying to debate these people while you're not holding by a high level of Kedusha. Because the Torah teaches that the Rasha is given permission to overcome the one who's weaker than him. Only the one who is the true tzaddik is able to go down to these places and overcome these people. They, the Jewish people, said, okay, fine, so we're going to keep to the beaten path. What was the beaten path? It was the paths in their heart, to bring fear into their hearts. And if we drink any of your water, meaning your water is like judgment. So Uncles translates this as money. So what does that have to do with us? I will pay the full price. Meaning, we're going to take the Kedusha out of the crookedness of the courts. Okay? It is of no devar concern, only with my foot will I pass through. Meaning, I want to travel and pass through your power in order to silence the wicked. So that divrayim, your words, do not enter my foot, meaning the common people. The foot is always corresponding to the common people of the Jewish nation. So therefore, when Moshe was saying, only with my foot will I pass through, meaning my feet are the common people. And these people are at the most vulnerability when they hear about negative speech, about Amunah, about Eretz Yisrael, about Torah. Okay. He replied, do not come through. Why? Because you do not have the level of Kedusha necessary to pass through my land of Edom. From this we can conclude that one has to pour his heart out in prayer prior to teaching of Torah and also the receiving of Torah, and bind himself with the souls in the class, he says. By virtue of this, great Kedusha is added. Therefore, for instance, when you do your bodhidut during the day, you should be saying, Hashem, help me that when I come to the class tonight, to bind my souls to all of the people who are sitting at the table, and to draw down the highest level of Torah possible. What does this do for you? So then this gives you these high level malachim, and they are able to subdue all the negativity in your life. That's why it says, in the multitude of people is the king's splendor, meaning the more people there is, the more Kedusha there is. And commensurate with the increase of Kedusha is the increase in the radiance of the Torah. More people, more Kedusha, higher level Torah. And the greater is the Torah, the greater is the power of the Malachim, and the greater the power of Malachim, the more you're able to subdue negativity, and specifically negative speech. Okay, and now we're going to connect this back to the very beginning. What did we say in the very beginning? We were describing from the Zohar the beard, the concept of the beard, the power of the beard. So now we're going to take the Torah and apply it now to this passage on the beard. So, very interesting. It says there's 9 rectifications that were given over to the beard. In other words, to the zaken. Why? Because the word for beard and sage are etymologically similar. Right? So the sage and the beard is one concept. Meaning it was given over to the sage these 9 tikkunim. Which sage? The one who sits in the yeshiva. He learns Torah. So what was he given? He was given these 9 concepts. Take the staff. Gather the community. This is all what Moshe was told to do when he hit the rock. Speak to the rock in their presence. Draw words. Draw Torah. Creation of Malachim. Receive power from Edom. And finally come to the land of Israel.
But he didn't get to the land of Israel.
Right, so you're going to see what happens. And these are the 9 rectifications. Meaning what? The more something is hidden and not revealed. That was the beginning of the passage. This hints to the soul, which is called Miriam. Why? Because the one who is suffering, she's hidden. Not everybody knows and is privy to her suffering. And she's not the one who's revealing the Torah, somebody else is. So she's the concept of tzniut, hidden. The more it is found to be lofty and precious, meaning, because of this sage that she passed away, all that was forgotten due to the souls having expired is now found by this sage, and the 9 rectifications of his beard. So what's the first one? Let's go through it. The first one is hairs upon hairs, in front of the ears on the top of the mouth. Right? In front of the ears to the top of the mouth. So this whole area. So what is this? This is the concept of Sa'arot. Sa'arot means hairs, and it's connected to the word Sha'arei, which means the gates of Zion, which corresponds to the staff of your strength of Hashem will send from Zion, meaning the mitzvot. Take the staff as this aspect of the beard, meaning the quality of your mitzvot. What does it mean from in front of the ears? Meaning prior to hearing, if they would be able to accept the Torah to the top of the mouth. Meaning they opened their mouths and they said, we will do it and we will hear it. Nasa v'nishma. This is also connected to the beard. Because we learned based on Rav Nachman's first Torah that the way to achieve higher level wisdom is this concept of, and he talks about this elsewhere, Nasa v'nishma. It wasn't just a one time when we got the Torah, we just happened to do this. No, this is the way you always get Torah. By saying Na'aseh v'nishma. Meaning, you go and you do it prior to understanding, and then Hashem gives you understanding, which is the Torah revelation. This is the way that you always receive Torah.
It's an experience.
Yes, and that experience of da'at comes through emunah. That's what V'rastich li be'emunah v'yeda'at et Hashem. Through emunah, I'm going to know Hashem. Meaning, Na'aseh v'nishma. We'll do, and then we'll understand. Then we'll hear. Okay? So this is the next. The second rectification. And what's the second tikkun from the beard? This is from one side to the other. In other words, to subdue the Sitra Achra, he takes them out from the authority of the other side. And he brings them into the domain of Kedusha, meaning from one side to the other. This is gather the community. Because what did we say before? When the teacher, the sage, brings his students to the class, there's two things that's happening. One of them is the Torah that's being given over, which Rav Nachman teaches that the sage should not be relying on his merits to draw down this Torah. He should be doing it by gathering the people and connecting to their souls. However, there is something that the sage does that is based on his merits, and that is subduing the negativity in the students. When the students come to the class, so as a result of this, when they're, and this is one of the benefits of coming to the class that you can't get if you don't get elsewhere. Even if you read a book or you go on YouTube or whatever, none of these things are the same concept of actually being at the class. Why is that? Because when you're actually at the class, the sage's good is able to nullify your negativity, your bad, that you have not fixed yet. And through this, you're able to receive higher levels of insight in the class than you would be if not. And then through this, you're able to now use that inspiration and to work on yourself outside of the class. That's what it means, gather the community. Meaning, Moshe bring them together so you can receive higher levels of Torah, and that you yourself can use your merit to subdue the negativity of the Jewish people.
Which is also interesting because it's all gathering.
Yes, all the beer is gathering.
It's all a part of one unit.
Yes. The third rectification is, found below the two nostrils is a path which is full, but it does not show out. What is that referring to? The nose is always the concept of tefillah. What's the path which is full? Because it says in Tehillim, Ki ein machsur l'reyav. The person who fears Hashem, he doesn't lack anything. And we say that yira is the concept of tefillah. Meaning the person who's doing ibodah do it every day, he's not lacking anything. He always is getting everything that he needs. Why? Because it's full. This area is full. He doesn't need men's, what do they call it? Insert men's body products that he creates full beards with. I don't know. Okay. Rogaine, there you go. The path which is full is referring to the path of tefillah. That when you have fear of Hashem, meaning when you pray to Hashem, so as a result of this, so then you're full, meaning you don't lack anything. And this is what it means, but the woman who fears Hashem, she should be praised. Meaning, Yirat Hashem is tehillah, is tefillah. That's what it means when it says Mashiach is going to breathe the fear of Hashem. What do we say in Torah Bet? What is the main weapon of Mashiach? His tefillah. And in Yeshaya it says that he is going to be slaying the wicked with his tongue. And he's going to be breathing Yirat Hashem, meaning what? He's going to be breathing tefillah. He's going to be constantly praying to Hashem. This is what it means, that his mouth is going to be like Yirat Hashem. But it does not show out, meaning what? He should be humble and not rely upon his own merits, but he should be asking from Hashem as if he has nothing of his own. So part of Mashiach's thing is that he's riding on a donkey, meaning he's poor. When he comes to pray to Hashem, he's praying as the poor man on the donkey, as if he has nothing of his own. This is speak to the boulder. The fourth rectification. The sides of the face are covered with hair. What is this? The binding of the souls. So you guys are like this. Right here. Sweet spot. The binding of the souls. They cover him on all sides, referring to the beard, also referring to the students. What's the fifth tikkun? Showing out our two holy tapuchin. It must be an Ashkenazi. Red like a rose cheeks. This is the concept of the openings of the heart, because where do we say that a person receives high-level Torah from? The supernal heart. And how did he get that? Through the gathering of the hairs, meaning the souls which are coming to the class. That's how he's drawing down this red like a rose cheeks. Yes. The sixth tikkun. What's the sixth tikkun? And one chut, meaning one strand, tough black hairs, talyan. They cascade down to the chest. I think maybe this is the reason why Breslovers, they have their peyot down very, very far. Because this whole concept of the holy beard is talking about peyot which cascade down to the chest. And what is those peyot that cascade down to the chest? So they are wavy and black like a raven. Why? Because who's the person who has Torah? the person who blackens himself like a raven, meaning he causes himself to suffer in order to get Torah. There's only two ways, they're not down to your chest. Yeah, there's only two ways to get Torah. You can either suffer yourself, meaning you afflict yourself by killing yourself over Torah, staying up late, getting up early, not eating and drinking so as to learn. All of these are suffering for the sake of Torah. However, when you don't do these, then and you still want Torah, so Hashem is going to give it to you, but through the suffering of your life. His locks are wavy and black like a raven. Why? Because they are tite talim, heaps and heaps of laws. And they are drowned down to the chest, meaning to the innards. The Torah is in the innards. So what does the peyot that come down to the chest represent? Lofty Torah teachings which are entering into your kishkas, into your essence. His surroundings are exceedingly nisara, which means turbulent. And what does that mean? Hashem is strict with the tzaddikim to a chut, a hair's breadth. So this should not scare you all, but the higher that you get spiritually, not through the things that are smelling in my apartment building, but when you do it through Torah, right, and it's holy, so Hashem is more and more strict with you. Kind of just like, you have a very impressive prospect in football, let's say, basketball. So as a result of that, if he has a good coach, who is he going to want and expect the most from and be the hardest on? The one who's the best, because he has the most to offer. So too Hashem is like this with us. And this is one of the reasons why it says that the person who has the greatest soul, he's the one who's suffering the most. Because Hashem is measuring him very, very, very strictly. And when they blemish even a hair's breadth, then they lack the ability to draw these laws, meaning to draw Torah. What's the seventh tikkun? The lips, which are red as a rose and free of any hair. So what do you know which is free of any dinner, which is free of any gufniut? I made that word up. Any bodiliness, any physicality, these are the malachim. These are the lips. These are the lips. The lips are corresponding to the malachim. They have no hair whatsoever. That's by the breath of his mouth are all the malachim created. You know that pasuk, right? The ruach piv kol tzava'am, and by the breath of his mouth all their hosts, meaning the malachim. Okay, what's the eighth tikkun? The eighth tikkun, the small hairs that are resting on the throat and covering the back of the neck. In other words, these are the dinim that we receive from Edom. Why are they smaller hairs over here versus here? Because Obadiah says about Edom, he's going to be small, meaning in quality. So that's these hairs. That's what it is. The lofty praise of Hashem are in their throats, a double-edged sword. What's the ninth final tikkun? Long and short hairs which end together. I don't know which hairs these are referring to. These are part of the beard somewhere. Maybe here.
No, like the Lubavitcher and the split?
Yeah.
That's
I think that's what it is. Okay? So what is that? That's called the land of Israel. Meaning what? It's divided into tribes, small and great. We know that when Yaakov blessed his children, he corresponded each of them with a different animal. Yehuda with a lion, Benjamin with a predator. Wolf. I just like to call Benjamin a predator whenever I get a chance.
I'll go to therapy later.
You go Dan a snake, right?
Dad?
Done. Call Daniel a snake. Okay? Nachash. So, these are all the different aspects of this bottom part of the beard. Okay? With this, he is found to be mighty and strong. Meaning, in other words, when he comes to the land of Israel, the concept of the land of Israel, then he is called mighty and strong. So Rav Nachman says something interesting here. He says, when is a person called Ish Milchama? When is a person called a man of war?
Man of
war. He says, whoever wants to be a Jew, he can only succeed through the land of Israel. When he so they're gonna say here that mamish means to live in the land of Israel. When he wins a war, only then he can be called man of war. So the commentaries ask, if Rav Nachman is saying that a Jew can only be a Jew to the real extent by living in the land of Israel, so why didn't he live in the land of Israel? Great question. The question is, how is he able to ascend from level to level in Kedusha prior to having been there? Because what is the main benefit of living in the land of Israel? Amunah, but specifically it has to be higher levels of Kedusha. Meaning, there is a stifling, there is a retardation, so to speak, of the ability for a person to be able to go from level to level of Kedusha in Chutz La'aretz. However, when you live in the land, you're able to quickly go from level to level to level to level. That's what the Zohar says about Abraham and also about Yaakov. They were only able to go up from level to level to level of Kedusha only once they were in Eretz Yisrael. Okay? So now we have the question, though, remains the same about Rav Nachman, about the Baal Shem Tov, about the Lubavitcher Rebbe. How are these people reaching these higher and higher levels? They don't live in the land of Israel. The answer is, without a doubt, it is necessary to actually set foot in the land of Israel. However, even before a person does this, his great longing and desire to get there draws the holiness of the land upon him. Okay? Meaning, your goal needs to be mamish to live in the land. This is what he's saying. But until you get there, can you draw Kedusha from the land? Yes, through your longing. But that only works if you actually want to go. If you don't actually want to go, you're not able to draw this Kedusha from that land. Okay? And then when is it proven? And then all those levels of Kedushas add up when you finally go, because then it's proven that really all of your longings were legitimate. They must be genuine. Furthermore, Rav Nachman teaches elsewhere that when a person wants to go to a high level, he must first experience a fall. This requires an unbelievable amount of patience, without which it is impossible to overcome the difficulties in our life. We've spoken about this very much. Rav Nachman says elsewhere in Likutey Moharan something amazing. He says that how does a Jew acquire real patience, right? We speak about this all the time. Patience is not a means to an end. Many people think that patience is a means to succeed, right? It's a means to get what I need and to do what I want. The Torah teaches not like that. The Torah says patience in itself is a godly thing. To be patient is a godly thing. How do you get patience? How do you get real, true patience? Rav Nachman says only by praying to live in the land of Israel. He says when a Jew prays genuinely every day to live in the land of Israel, he will merit real patience. I was thinking to myself, what's the connection? One of the main connections is that the land of Israel is the land of Amunah. And Amunah means patience, because Amunah takes a lifetime to build. So therefore, in order to get to higher and higher levels of Amunah, you need higher and higher levels of patience. And also, land of Israel is very hard to come by, meaning it's the most difficult thing to obtain, right? To get to live in the land. So as a result of that, you're going to definitely need a lot of patience if you're going to pray every single day in your Hibodadu to live in the land. Right? That's going to give you a lot of patience. You're going to be able to transfer that practically elsewhere. But we're talking obviously spiritually. That by praying to live in the land of Israel every day, you're drawing upon yourself erech apayim, godly patience. There was once a person, and just on a side note, he was talking to a rabbi, and he was telling him, I really want to live in the land of Israel. And the rabbi said to him, yeah, you want to go? He said, yeah, you don't understand. I've been praying and crying to live in the land of Israel for years and years and years and years. So the rabbi was listening to him, and he said, 1 second. He said, you want to go that bad? And he said, yeah. And he goes, okay, it's very, very simple. Go home, pack up your bags, and go live in the land of Israel. So somebody overheard this conversation, and he went back to Rav Nachman, and he was troubled by the conversation. Just didn't sit well with him. And he said it over to Rav Nachman to want to hear what he had to say. Rav Nachman said something interesting. Rav Nachman said that guy who's been crying and praying to live in the land of Israel for years and he's not there, he is ultimately going to live in the land. But this rabbi who told him just go home and pack and get there, this guy is never going to live in the land of Israel. And what are the chances? This is exactly what took place. The guy who was crying for years to get there, he did ultimately live in the land. And the one who said, just go pack up your bags and go, he never actually went to the land of Israel.
Why?
Why? Because the land of Israel only comes through great yearning. The whole concept of the land of Israel is Amunah. And the only way to get Amunah, it was with unbelievable longing and yearning. So to the land. So therefore, there's no way to actually inherit the land except through this unbelievable yearning. So Nachman understood that this person who's yearning deeply for so long, that yearning is the ingredient to get to the land. And without yearning, it doesn't matter you have money. It doesn't matter you have this. You're not going to be in the land. And even if you're in the land's going to spit you out. It takes great, great yearning to live in the land of Israel. We finished the Torah, but I just want to relate to you something. When we think about Rosh Hashanah in Ummah, you see that all the aspects of this Torah are connected to Rosh Hashanah and Ummah, right? All of the Jews gathering in one place, connecting to the souls of all the Jews and drawing down higher levels of Torah, so that dinim are mitigated, malachim are created, and that you're ultimately able to come and live in the land of Israel. Why? Because Rosh Hashanah in the land of Israel is one thing. Just like it says in Rosh Hashanah, it's from the beginning of the year to the end of the year is determined then, so too the land of Israel, Hashem says, my eyes are on it from the beginning until the end. It's one concept. With the 5 minutes left, do we have any questions? On a practical level, what should we be taking before Benjamin has his question? Try to bring as many people to the classes as possible. Why should you be doing that? Because you're going to bump up my salary. No, I'm just kidding. You will certainly not be bumping up my salary. But, which is already very meager, I would say, okay? The more, it's small. It means the amount of people that we have here is equal and corresponding to the level of Kedusha at the table. So you see this table over here? The rabbi is able to draw down much higher levels of Torah because he has so many people at his table. Okay, the rabbi is gone, and he's entered a vortex state in which he's able to draw down the highest levels of Torah. You don't even see him anymore. Okay. Anyway, the point is like this. If you want to get the most out of these classes, it actually is, it would pay dividends if you guys invested a little bit of time in your day and trying to get more people to come to the class. Through this, we're going to be able to draw down higher levels of Torah. Also, you should be praying every day in your Hibodedut about everything in your day, but specifically about this class at night, because at this class you're trying to learn higher levels of Torah, of truth, and through this truth you're trying to grow closer to Hashem, right? So how do you get the highest level of truth? First, by praying and yearning to Hashem to receive that. So therefore you should be praying to Hashem, help connect me to the souls of all the people in this class, and to receive exactly what I need to come close to you. Highest levels of Torah. Okay. Also, another practical thing is, there's a beard. There is Kabbalistically a concept of a beard, and therefore, if you want to grow on, there's many blessings that will be to you, okay?
What if he can't even grow a beard?
Then he's never going to live in the land of Israel. No, I'm just kidding. Joking. Just made it. Totally kidding.
Single guys out there.
Totally kidding. Totally kidding. Although I did hear that there was one person who was like the starter of Reform Judaism, and he said genuinely that the beard is only for the land of Israel. So people who live outside of the land, they don't need to grow a beard, because it has to do with Kedusha. There's not this Kedusha outside the land. There's no reason to have that beard. Heretic. This ended up leading to Reform Judaism. So you see, the beard is a big issue. Okay. What else? What else did we say?
Remote connection.
What?
Remote connection.
Ma?
Remote connection.
Remote connection? What do we say about this?
You want to yearn, right? Yearning.
Yearning. The yearning.
Better antenna.
Yes. The yearning is what brings you to the land of Israel, meaning complete Amunah. And also the actual land of Israel proper. So we have a goal. That goal should actually be to live in the land. And by praying to live in the land, this is actually what draws down patience. And patience is necessary to be a warrior. Patience is necessary to come close to Hashem. It takes a lot of patience to come close to Hashem. I tell people this all the time. The number one ingredient I would say to any person, if they really want to be close to Hashem, is not tefillah, is not Torah, it is not even Shmirat Brit or any of these things. The main thing is that you never give up. I can tell you from my life, I promise you, I've been in the darkest places many, many, many times in my life. There's always something greater when you come out. And to get there, you need a lot of grit and you need a lot of patience. You need to be very strong. Just continue to get up another day. One day you're going to get up and all of a sudden you're going to see, boom, you hit a very high level of holiness. Today, mamish, I felt like Hashem was everywhere. I really felt like I was surrounded by God everywhere. It was an amazing thing. Right after Tisha B'Av and, after a period of difficulty.
It's like being high always.
Okay. I want to say also, I heard a good mashal for this, which I think is very appropriate and something that's worth saying. There was a group of people who were told that they would in a race. And whoever wins gets $1 million.
I like this race.
Yes.
Where's
The race is going up the stairs. They took them to the Beit Gabriel stairs and they said whoever gets up all the flights to the top floor, he is going to get all of them. However, as they're going up the flights of stairs, they're noticing 5 flights, 6 flights, 7 flights, 8 flights, 9 flights, 10, and it's not ending. And it doesn't look like there's any end in sight. So yeah, I want this money, but I have 10 guys who are in better shape next to me, and I'm really tired and I'm really hungry. How often and how long can I go in this for? So finally, one guy comes out, and the rest are going harder now because they see the one guy go out. And then ultimately, they're up 20 floors, and they can't take it anymore, and half of them just dip. You have half left. And they're going up another 5, 10, 15 floors. They're up 35 floors now. They're sweating, they're dying. That's it. All of them leave except for 2. This thing could go up 100 floors. That's it. They go 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. They go to the 49th flight. And this guy is like, I can't do this. This mamish can go up 1,000 floors. I have no idea how many floors.
What do you mean? Don't you see the end of it?
No, he couldn't see. He couldn't see. So he leaves. He leaves on the 49th floor. He gets to the 49th floor and leaves. This guy who's the one left, he just barely is crawling up one flight of stairs and he sees that there's an elevator on the 50th floor. And this elevator takes him all the way up to the top. This is our life. Yes. Many, many times in our life, we think it's going to take forever. We're never going to be able to get there. And we don't understand that really we are going up these flights of stairs, and on one floor there is an elevator. So therefore we need to strengthen ourselves very, very much and to just keep getting to the next day.
So nobody just goes into the elevator right away?
No. Just keep going to the next day. Because the land of Israel, and Torah, and Olam Haba only come from Yisrael. Okay.
Let's all suffer.
Any questions? You're suffering enough with that shirt that you're wearing. You don't need any more suffering. Anybody else?
An hour ago.
I know. I actually really like it. Anyway else?
Where'd you get it from? You said earlier that the angels, right? So whenever we learn Torah, we create the angels.
Yes.
So I had a question with this analogy. When Hashem created the world, was He creating the world? Because we said that there's high revelations of Torah, and through the Torah, the angels were created, right? So somebody had to give out the Torah. Now we say it's the tzaddik, right? So this is the concept of Mashiach and Hashem just having a chill situation, and then He's revealing Torah and therefore creating the angels, and then from that they're creating the world.
So I hear the analogy. I like how you're taking all the points that we spoke about and plugging in this very Rabbi Nachman-like of you. I never saw it anywhere, and I have to think more about it to see if it's true. But I like what you're saying. It's interesting.
Because one thing I don't understand is if you're gonna have angels, this one down, meaning that this angel, it's like an union of separation a little bit, right? So the point of Mashiach is that He unifies everything.
Right.
So from the unifier you have things that are broken down. Like for example, Moshe had to unify everybody, and therefore had the high revelation Torah. Same concept, like Mashiach and the angels, right?
I need you to develop the concept more and bring it back to me.
I'm saying because the whole point
I
that Hashem
understand.
created the world was for him.
I understand. I want you to think about it a little bit more, develop it a little more, come back to me.
Put me in the trunk again.
Any other questions? Any other questions?
With the wrong way.
He said I'm in the wrong page.
Blame me.
What
Ah,
page are we
it's
on?
my fault. It's my fault.
At the very end. At the very end.
That's hilarious. An hour and a half later, what page are we on?
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. We're going to start a brand new tour tomorrow. Oh, we have a question from the mute. What if I don't have a huge yearning to move to Israel? Get out of it.
Yeah, that's best.
So if you do not have a huge yearning, I highly encourage that when you pray in your Hibodedut, you pray to Hashem to want to live in the land.
Want. Oh.
Listen, wait a few years, you will have the yearning.
Don't wait.
Move today.
No.
Why? It's taking to be out.
Everyone.
Pray to want to live in the land of Israel.
You
Pray
gotta
to
want.
I want to want.
You gotta want.
You gotta want it.
There it is.
Sooner or later, be there.
That's what I'm gonna label this whole year.
Want to want.
You gotta want.
I like it.
All right.
Either
Zagbo.
the easy